Hey traders, it's Dollar Dan Trading back for another market update on the NASDAQ. And in just a couple minutes, I'm going to lay out exactly what I'm looking for to start the week on Monday, where I'm looking to buy, and what I'm looking to see that would trigger me into a buy. So stick around for that. But first, let's take a look at this. I want to start with a weekly chart looking at S&P, Dow Jones, NASDAQ, and dollar index in the bottom right. And the only thing I want to just point out, just stating the obvious, is how much stronger the Dow Jones is from this September-October low. It's rallied quite a bit in comparison to the other two indices. NASDAQ got a bounce as well, but it's been a pretty timid bounce compared to the Dow Jones, and the S&P has been somewhere in between. If we look at kind of the range, high to low range, from the low here, obviously the Dow's made a new high, and we've gotten a couple closes above it on the weekly. And if we compare it to this high in NASDAQ, we're probably about halfway there. And that same high on the S&P, we're probably more like 3/4 of the way there, or 2/3 of the way there. And so even though on the weekly time frame, if we go back to NASDAQ, and we just kind of look at where we've been the last 3 weeks, once again, we've run out this low. Engulfing candle order block, broke above, came back for the retest, held as support, pushed up again, very strong close, and then 3 straight weeks where we've been pretty sideways. This looks basically like a bull flag on the daily chart. And looking at it on its own, I would probably be a little bit 50-50 on this market because we haven't extended beyond this last up close candle. This order block right here, we've not really been able to penetrate. Now we finally have we've wicked it a few times, tried to move lower, got rejected off of these lows, and then pushed up again. So I am bullish, but the reason why I'm bullish predominantly also has to do with the fact that the Dow Jones and the S&P just are kind of leading the way and I think are going to carry NASDAQ with it, especially now that we see the dollar breaking lows, creating imbalances after hitting, there's some higher time frame, the origin of this huge leg down, tapped into it, formed a swing low, tried to push up higher, failed, broke it with some aggression, and then reacted off of this imbalance and then has continued to push lower. So on the dollar, I'm bearish down to here and into this imbalance and possibly this low. We'll have to see. I mean, I think on the monthly too, we could find some deeper levels. So I do feel like we've seen a top here in the dollar. Could we see a retracement back up before continuation lower? Of course. But overall, big picture, we're bearish on the dollar right now and bullish on these index futures. On the daily chart, there's that kind of bull flag. Not that I put too much stock in these retail patterns, but when the retail patterns work, it's because they're supported by these other concepts. And, we've taken liquidity out here in the higher time frame. We've seen this push up and we've held the base of this spike here after this push up. And this is after the Chairman Powell speech on Wednesday. We've pushed up and we did not see immediate continuation to the upside on Thursday and Friday. And, it was non-farm payroll week. And I think this was a great example of the market taking out people who are just overreactive to seeing this candle on Wednesday and expecting it to go up in a straight line. So it dumps, it takes out the floor on the lower time frame. If we look at the 1 hour, on the 1 hour, we kind of have this artificial support being put in It looks like it's reacting to it a few times. It looks like it's going to hold. And then on the news announcement on NFP, we just get this flush, this sort of rug pull. But there's no follow through. There's no continuation lower. We simply just spiked down very quickly and started to draw back up. And we haven't seen another sell-off yet. I do think to start the week, what I'm going to be looking for is a little bit of a reaction, maybe a sell-off. Not a sell-off, but just a little bit of a retracement, maybe somewhere around there. Could go deeper, but what I'm going to be waiting for, depending on time of day, is some sort of effort to go lower, followed by a rejection with a new imbalance. And I'm going to try to buy either here in the new imbalance that's created, or ideally too, if we break above this and really start trending and seeing a lot of momentum, strong impulse to the upside, then really any retracement that makes sense will be a buy for me. So time of day, any kind of discount array we get, any kind of order block or imbalance that we get a retracement to, any like lower time frame liquidity grab that we see, we'll just play it by ear. We don't know what it's going to show, but any kind of entry technique that makes sense to buy, if we see this price action kind of in London on Monday, let's say, then I will assume that the low of the week is in, because I do see us moving higher. Now there is a bearish scenario. Despite this momentum candle here, this push up, we basically just swept the weekly high here. The bearish scenario is that it does push higher above these kind of equal highs, and then we get no follow through. We form some sort of swing low that then gets broken and reject back into this range, and that could invalidate my thesis where I thought price would come all the way up to here. Now I do think we're ultimately going to sell back off and make new lows or test these lows at some point. It's either going to do it here, which I don't think is going to happen, but it could. Or my theory, as I said last week, is we get some sort of trend something like this, and then another push. And this point, it would look really strong, I think, and we would see our reversal up here. And I outlined my reasons for why I'm focused on this being in an area that will reverse price on the first visit back. But, that could be wrong too. But that's just what I'm looking for right now, kind of a longer term projection. So we'll see what happens. In the short term, we're bullish, but we always have to be prepared that the market's going to turn bearish earlier than expected. And if that happens, be prepared for that so that we can take advantage. But until then, looking for longs, and we'll see what we get this week. And we have one more month in 2022. So that's it for tonight, and we'll check back in soon.